You are Locked On Warriors Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Bay Area, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Locked On Warriors Postcast. I'm your host, Eric TripleE Engel. You may know me as the former producer for the Murph and Mac Morning Show on KMBR, or maybe you know me from Locked On Giants Postcast. However you know me, I appreciate you tuning in. And tonight, the Golden State Warriors finished off their 5-game road trip with another clutch crunch time win over the future NBA Rookie of the Year, Victor Wembanyama, and the San Antonio Spurs, 117-113. And it was vintage Draymond Green in the third quarter that was the big difference in this one, as he and Steph rolled back the clock and fueled a 28-9 run in that third quarter. And this win is dedicated to every single one of you who ripped Draymond Green over the last week. Stop doubting Money Green. We will break it all down, but first, I want to thank all of you for watching us on the Locked On Sports Bay Area YouTube channel. Please, if you aren't already subscribed, smash that subscribe button. Also, thank you for listening on the Locked On Warriors podcast feed. However you're getting the show, we appreciate you turning in, and make sure to check out the Locked On Warriors Daily Show for more in-depth coverage. This one seemed like it was going to get away from the Warriors early on. The Spurs went on a 14-0 run in that first quarter. Draymond Green turned the ball over twice in their first 3 possessions, but the Warriors did shrink that lead to just 7 after the Spurs had pushed it to 13 before the end of that first quarter. A lot of this was from Brandon Podziemski and Moses Moody playing really well early on. They kind of kept the Warriors hanging around in this one, as well as Stephen Curry. But the Spurs, man, early on, I mean, Wemby was feeling it tonight. This was one of his better games, and he's had a ton of really good games this season as a rookie. Very likely the Rookie of the Year. I mean, I think it's a lock at this point. And I mean, he's doing crazy stuff out here. Like, we know he's a generational player, 7'4", and can run the point, essentially, as a scorer, a ball handler, an elite defender already. And today you saw him, Trey Jones was setting screens for him, like the San Antonio Spurs point guard. And Wemby was running off these screens, handling the ball, like taking pull-up threes. Like, this is nuts. This is nuts. A 7'4" guy hitting a three off of a screen set from a 6'3" guy. Like, absolute insanity. And, but Steph kept the Warriors hanging around too. He hit a couple threes, seemed like he might be getting rolling. And then the Warriors defense started to step up and really show up in that second quarter towards the second half of it, and kept that Spurs lead to just 8 at halftime. It seemed like the Warriors could have ended that quarter a little better than they did the second quarter before halftime, but the Spurs just pushing through, and it kind of reminded me of the game earlier this season that the Warriors lost to the San Antonio Spurs, inexcusably lost to the San Antonio Spurs. And they were missing Jonathan Kuminga in this one, so you weren't healthy fully in this game again tonight, the same way as the Warriors weren't healthy when they lost to the Spurs prior. So I was kind of concerned. I was biting my nails a little bit at halftime in this one. And then the Warriors veterans, their Hall of Fame talent, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, Klay a little bit. Klay had his moment. We'll get to that in a minute. But Steph Curry and Draymond Green in that third quarter said, we cannot lose this game again to the San Antonio Spurs. They knew it was winning time. Your veterans, your Hall of Famers knew it was on them to come out and dominate that third quarter. Andrew Wiggins wasn't showing up tonight. 1 of 7 in the first half with 1 rebound, 0 assists, 0 steals, 0 blocks, 1 turnover, 2 points at the half. Wiggins was on a milk carton tonight, just missing, nowhere to be found. And Steph Curry said, I don't care if I have help tonight. Me and Draymond are running the show, and me and Draymond are going to go win this game. That's exactly what they did in that third quarter. Massive 9-0 run to start that quarter, and then an even bigger 28-9 run overall in that third quarter. All of this was fueled by Draymond Green. During that 9-0 run, he scored 7 of those first points, including a 3, and he's looking to get his own shot. He's driving the lane, laying it in. This was masterful from Draymond Green. Don't think that he doesn't hear all of the criticism, because he does. He does. He hears every single one of you saying that he needs to change who he is and play different and be a different guy. And guess what guy I saw out there tonight? The same guy that I've seen winning championships with this Warriors team for the last decade plus. This is who Draymond Green is. He played with fire, he played with passion, and he did everything. 6 steals tonight, 6 steals. And so many of them came in that second half, in that third quarter, down the stretch, in crunch time, in the fourth quarter. Seemed like every single play that the Warriors were scoring on during that run was either a Steph Curry bucket, a Draymond Green bucket, or one of those two guys finding a wide open guy and getting an assist, or finding each other and getting an assist on the play. It was those two future Hall of Famers that said, get on my back. We're going to the finish line with a win tonight. That's exactly what the Warriors did, and it's exactly what they needed. Huge win tonight for the standings in the Western Conference playoff race, as the Houston Rockets got shelled, absolutely shellacked by the Dallas Mavericks tonight. And the Warriors finally can pick up a game on the Houston Rockets, as the Rockets have won 11 in a row. Thank goodness. It was about time the Warriors got a break, and they got one tonight. They win both the games against the subpar teams at the end of this road trip that we said was critical, must-win games you cannot lose going down the stretch when you're trying to vie for playoff positioning to even make the playoffs. And the Warriors knew what time it was. The Warriors veterans showed up tonight and said, we know we can't lose this game. We cannot lose this game, especially with this huge, this is probably the biggest week of the Warriors season coming up. You got the Mavericks, and then you got the Rockets. And this is hugely, hugely important for the Warriors going forward in this one, to be able to have a little bit of a cushion before this week comes up, because if the Rockets win when they play later this week, that's going to be a big problem. And you got a ton of playoff teams coming up on the schedule. You need every single win you can get to pad that record a little bit. Tonight helps immensely. Huge, 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 huge win for the Warriors. And Steph Curry and Draymond Green orchestrating this win in the second half. It was close. It felt like they were going to not be able to get it done at certain points, especially early on in that first half. But that 28-9 run to start the third quarter, they eventually outscored the Spurs 37-21 throughout the entirety of the third. They were down 8 at halftime, but up 8 at the end of the third quarter, flipped that lead on its head, 89-81, and continued to hold the lead from there for the rest of the game. The Spurs got close. They shrunk the lead to, I think, 4. And then after 8 unanswered points, shrunk it to 2, actually. And then Klay Thompson, huge, huge, huge three-pointer at the end there, when the Warriors were up by only 1, and was 1 for 7 before that 3, and put the Warriors up 4 in the last closing seconds to essentially put it out of reach. Just the dagger 3 from Klay in this one. All 3 of your Hall of Fame perennial Warriors that have been here since the dawn of this dynasty did it again tonight. They did it again tonight. And they've shown you time and time and time again that when the chips are down, they answer. And this is the sign of a team that can do some damage in the playoffs. They seem to be rolling finally again. Their momentum's pushing them in the right way. Now, if we can just get a damn win at Chase Center, if they can beat the Mavericks at home in their next outing, which is Tuesday, that would be a huge win. And I think we're going to be saying that about every single Warriors game down the stretch from now on. Every single one of these games is just as big as the prior one, if not bigger. Every single one of them. It's going to be really important for the Warriors to beat a lot of these teams that they're vying for playoff positioning with. And don't look now, but the Sacramento Kings are free falling. Without Kevin Huerter, they seem like they can't win a game, which is very weird to me, because Kevin Huerter is not De'Aaron Fox. He's not Domantas Sabonis. He's a very important player to them. He's almost like their version of Andrew Wiggins for the Warriors. Like he's that pivot player that if he shows up and plays the way he can, they're tough to beat. But if he doesn't, then you kind of need some other guys to step up. You need Fox to have a bigger game, or Sabonis to kind of cover up some of those mistakes. The Kings in a free fall right now. The Warriors might be able to catch them if the Kings keep sliding the way they are. And who knows, maybe they can jump up into the 9th seed, or maybe pad their cushion a little bit between them and the Rockets from being just completely kicked out of the playoffs altogether, which would just break my heart. Again, no John Kuminga in this one. Trayce Jackson-Davis drew the start with Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and TJD had a couple nice dunks there in the fourth quarter. He had played some good defense on Wemby tonight, even though Wemby did finish with a big stat line: 32 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 steals, 3 blocks for the 7'4" Spurs rookie sensation. He even hit a 3 threes, a trio of 3-pointers tonight for Victor Wembanyama. Wasn't enough. Steph Curry, 33 points, 8 boards. Draymond Green, 21 points, 11 assists, 6 boards, 6 steals, and a block. Just filling it up in this one. And one more thing about this one, the free throw disparity was just so bad in the first half. The Spurs shot 10 free throws, the Warriors 0, and the Spurs made 8 of their 10 free throws and led by 8 at the half. That was a big difference in the second half as the Warriors shrunk that disparity they ended up with 13 free throws and the Spurs ended up with 8. So the Warriors did end up getting to the line a little bit. First time they got to the line in this one was with about 7 minutes left in that third quarter. And I thought Bob Fitzgerald and Kalena Asabuki were going to lose their minds on the broadcast when they were talking about how it's the first time that they got to the line in this one. And as they always do with their little inside running jokes, fun game. Some of those Steph Curry 3-pointers just make you giggle like a little kid, just making you giggle for joy. And this one was huge. Absolutely massive win. Can't overstate that enough, how big of a win this was for the Golden State Warriors. Again, 117-113 over the San Antonio Spurs and Victor Wembanyama. We got more to break down on this one. Just so much to talk about with Draymond Green's big night and just all the other permutations from this big win. Stick with us here on the Locked On Warriors postcast. I am Eric TripleE Engel, and we will be right back. Today's episode of Locked On Sports Bay Area is brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with over 3 million members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It's just you against the numbers. You pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch those winnings roll in. March is almost over, but the biggest moments in college basketball tip off the month of April. Be a part of the action on PrizePicks for both the men's and women's college basketball Final Four. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000 with basketball, hockey, college basketball entries, whatever you're looking for on America's #1 fantasy sports app. PrizePicks is really simple to play. I can make my picks and submit my entry in less than 60 seconds. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use code LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use code LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. It's PrizePicks. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Welcome back to the Locked On Warriors postcast. I am your host, Eric TripleE Engel, and we are just relishing in this 117-113 Warriors win over the San Antonio Spurs to wrap up this 5-game roadie. Warriors 4-1 on that 5-game road trip, have been just playing excellent on the road all season long. 22-15 now. They have doubled their win total on the road from last season. If they can only win some damn games at Chase Center, man. And this is a problem, a big problem, as the Warriors going down the stretch are gonna need to prove that they can beat teams at home. They got 1, 2, 3, 4 more home games left this year. They got the Mavericks at home, the Jazz at home, the Pelicans at home, and the Jazz at home again. One of those games again is the makeup game for the one that the Warriors missed earlier this year when Decky unfortunately passed away while the Warriors were in Salt Lake City. So they do need to make up that game against the Utah Jazz. And you know, every time that the Warriors are going to play the Jazz, especially for the rest of the season, they are going to have a little bit more of an emotional game when that happens, just because of what it's going to make you think of. So expect the Warriors to come with a lot of energy in those games. And we got some huge matchups coming down too. Mavericks on the road, Rockets on the road, Lakers on the road, Trailblazers on the road. We are getting down to the point where we're really counting these numbers of games left and comparing schedules down the stretch. Warriors got a lot of playoff opponents on their schedule. If we're considering the Rockets a playoff team, which I know they're not right now if you look at the standings, but they're right there. They are right there. And the Utah Jazz have been borderline playoff team for most of the year, but aren't really in the conversation at this point. The Trailblazers are a bad team. That's pretty much the only gimme game that you got left on the schedule. The only game that you look at the schedule and you go, the Warriors you can pencil with a pencil, not a pen, write a W over that Trailblazers game with a pencil, not a pen. This is still the NBA. But each and every one of those, the rest of those games is going to be tough. It's going to be tough playing with that emotion against the Utah Jazz. The Pelicans, if you've been sleeping on them, I don't know where you've been this NBA season, but they are legit. Zion is coming to full fruition over there, realizing his potential. They got all sorts of great role players like Herb Jones that are playing really, really, really well. And obviously the Lakers ahead of the Warriors in that Western Conference, the Mavs ahead of the Warriors in the Western Conference. You get the Mavericks 2 more times. This is going to be tough, a tough end to the season, and they got to figure out how to keep winning down the stretch. The Warriors have now won 4 games in a row. They lost that first game of the road trip to the Minnesota Timberwolves, and they were playing very well in that game. The Warriors we were talking a little bit, week or two ago about how they seemed like they were maybe going in the wrong direction coming down the stretch of this season. Right now, that doesn't really feel like that anymore. Brandon Podziemski tonight, after, we've talked about on this podcast a couple times about how he didn't really look like himself, did not look like he was doing all the same things that he's been doing this season, wasn't moving the same way. His shot was a little off. Defensively, he was out of position sometimes. Looked like he was pressing, just blowing layups. Something was off with him. I'm not sure if it was something physically where he's now feeling better or if it was just running into a mental wall. But either way, Brandon Podziemski tonight showed you why he is a huge part of this Warriors team. I mean, massive, massive, massive contribution from him. The box score is not always going to reflect the things that he does on the floor. But again, 3 offensive boards from him, 7 total rebounds, 4 assists, 12 points, a couple of steals, a little bit of do-it-all from Brandon Podziemski. Even hit a couple threes in this one. 5 for 11 from the field. This was important for Brandon Podziemski to get back in a flow, in a rhythm tonight. And he and Moses Moody and Kevon Looney, that group off the bench looked really, really, really good. A lot better than they have looked recently since Klay has been back in the starting lineup while the Warriors deal with these injuries. It's been huge for these guys to step up. Moses Moody, again, with another big night. I believe that's 3 nights in a row where Moses Moody finishes in double figures, finished with 10 points tonight. He is playing his best basketball at the most crucial time of the year. And you've heard Chris Paul give him his flowers and Kevon Looney in the last couple of days, saying that these are 2 of the most stay-ready guys that he has ever seen in his NBA career. And Chris Paul's been around for a long time. So hearing that from a guy like CP3 is very encouraging. This is going to be crucial going down the stretch. Obviously, the Warriors need Jonathan Kuminga to come back, but they're going to need him healthy. You can't rush him back from an injury like this when you got the playoffs looming. You absolutely can't let Jonathan Kuminga be playing it less than good to go. No one's going to be 100% at the end of the year. So I'm not going to say they need to get him back to 100%, but he needs to be ready to go enough that he's not going to re-injure himself when he's out there in the playoffs. They need him. They are dead in the water without him. I mean, they barely got it done against the Spurs team. Mind you, this Spurs team is bad. Yes, 18-57 on the season, just 10-28 at home this year. But the San Antonio Spurs have won 3 in a row, or had won 3 in a row coming into tonight's matchup. And it was going to be a challenge for the Warriors to beat them. They match up pretty poorly against teams like this that have big guys that dominate the way that Victor Wembanyama does. I mean, the Warriors struggle against players like Nikola Jokic. I mean, everybody struggles against Nikola Jokic, but it's just such a matchup problem for a team that is so small. And yes, you did see Trayce Jackson-Davis inserted into the starting lineup. We've seen that with Kuminga out the last couple games. But tonight, I thought it was really interesting to watch that matchup of the Warriors' young rookie center versus the Spurs' young rookie center. Obviously, one of these guys was overlooked by almost everybody on draft day, Trace Jackson Davis, and the other one was a surefire number one overall pick, rookie sensation. Everybody knew his name going into the draft. And I thought TJD held his own very well against Victor Wembanyama in this one. I know that Victor got his points, 32 points. He did his work there. 9 boards, he did his work. He got his, and you knew he was gonna. The way that he came out tonight, he was firing. And TJD didn't have his best stat line ever. 7 points, 7 boards, but he did snag 4 offensive rebounds, a couple of those that were really critical in the fourth quarter. Also, mind you, another opportunity for me to shout out Draymond Green and the contributions he had tonight. That Klay Thompson dagger 3-pointer came off of a Draymond Green offensive rebound. That changed the game. That changed the outcome of this game. Draymond Green, without him tonight, the Warriors don't win this game. So if you're going to sit there and still be trashing Draymond, I advise you to maybe rewatch this one, rewatch that third quarter, rewatch those closing minutes in the fourth, and maybe reevaluate your position on this topic, because Draymond Green is vital to the Warriors. 8 for 9 from the field, 2 for 2 from 3, 3 for 4 from the free throw line, and a ton of huge plays at the end. Those two offensive rebounds, one of them was key. They don't win this game without Draymond Green. 6 steals, man. He almost hit his season high in points, came up just shy. He hit that earlier this season against Utah in February, but he did finish with 21 points in this one. And that's a really good sign for Draymond, as we have not seen him score in the 20s very often. Don't have a Jonathan missing on a milk carton, just 2 for 12 from the field for Wiggins, doesn't hit a 3, doesn't shoot a free throw, only 5 boards, no assists, no steals, no blocks. This was a subpar night for Andrew Wiggins, to put it nicely. 4 points. Not what you're expecting from a guy who has a max contract in the NBA. So for Draymond Green to pick up the pieces, for Klay Thompson to hit that dagger, for Moses Moody and Brandon Pajemski to stay ready off the bench the way they did, and Kevon Looney as well with just battling inside, it was a great win tonight. And you can't forget about Steph Curry and his 33 points and 7 3-point shots. Steph Curry, one of the Splash Brothers, making it rain from distance. Looked like he finally got his shot back. We've been waiting for a big scoring night from Steph for a while now, and he showed us that he still got it. Not that we ever doubted it for a second. We got more to break down on this one. Stick with us on the Locked On Warriors postcast. I am your host, Eric TripleE Engel. We will be right back. Fire TV is your destination for sports. From live games to highlights to in-depth analysis, Fire TV offers amazing viewing experiences with smart TVs, as well as the Fire Stick TV that you can plug directly into your existing television set. It provides access to millions of movies and TV episodes, as well as free and live TV. Whether it's opening weekend for baseball or the NCAA basketball tournament, you're going to want to have a Fire TV, and especially for this Warriors playoff run. Fire TV recently created Fire TV channels to deliver a constant supply of the latest videos from your favorite sports brands, all for free. And that includes all of us at Locked On. You want TripleE in your living room for the Locked On Warriors postcast? You got it. And I guess you also get most of the big pro leagues and college conferences as well. So if you want to watch those guys too, you can. Fire TV channels let you dive into all of the game analysis, highlights, and more. Keep you up to date on all the latest in the world of sports, March Madness, NBA, MLB, and so much more. And not to mention, they also got great news, entertainment, gaming, traveling, cooking videos as well. Whatever you want, Fire TV's got it. So check out Fire TV channels on Fire TV and Alexa devices today. If you haven't checked them out, you should. Trust me on this. To learn more, visit www.amazon.com/lockedonfiretv. Welcome back to the Locked On Warriors postcast. I am your host, Eric TripleE Engel. And wow, wow, wow. What a night from Draymond Green. The response to the national criticism, I mean, every single story the day after he got ejected against the Magic, even though the Warriors won that game, every single show led it off by saying, Draymond Green, oh no, what's he doing again? This is all the same as before. He's back to punching people in the face. No, he is not. If that's your take on this, you haven't been watching this Warriors team. He has been playing so much better, so much more in control lately of his emotions on the court. He's not getting into it with other players. He's not using his aggression in the game to go at another guy physically at all. That's completely different than what he got ejected for in that Orlando Magic game. He got ejected for making contact with an official, which you can't do that. It's not like he walked up and punched the guy. He wasn't trying to hurt the guy. It was made contact with him. I don't think he really meant to do it. He made contact with the official and he said some things he shouldn't have said and got tossed. You can't do that. But it's not like he's running around throwing around reckless swipes or choking anybody. Like, this is not the same as the issues that we were pointing out in the beginning of the season. And Draymond Green heard that criticism and responded in the biggest way I've seen him respond since the 2022 playoffs when he came back against Memphis. You remember that in that Memphis series, the whoop that trick, all those chants? Like, oh my God. Like, this is Draymond Green at his peak. And you cannot stifle him. You cannot stifle him. He fuels this team. I watched that post game that he did just before I hopped on to do this post game. And wow, Draymond talking about how great of a player Wemby is, calling himself out for his poor play in the first half, and just people want to talk about Draymond for all these things that he's so bad at it. This guy is so humble in so many different ways when talking about his own game. He just didn't want to even acknowledge the fact that he had 6 steals in this game. But without him on the defensive side of the ball, the Warriors don't win this game. Even his offense, too. He did everything for the Warriors tonight. That third quarter highlight tape that he just put on, that's a clinic, man. That is a clinic. If you wonder why Draymond Green is a Hall of Famer, if you look at his stats and can't figure it out because all you can do is read box scores, check out this game's third quarter, and you will have all the answers. Check out that last possession of the fourth quarter when Draymond pulls down that offensive rebound and gets it out to Klay. Check out the foul that he drew on Wemby at the very end of the game when he did his work early and boxed him out perfectly. A 7'4" guy and drew a foul because he put Wemby in such a bad position that he had to climb over Draymond Green's back to try and snag that rebound. And it was a foul because Draymond was in such good position. This is a guy who is half a foot taller than Draymond Green that he is battling tooth and nail and winning a lot of the time. And when he had to have it, Draymond got the better of Wemby in this one. Those plays at the end of this game were the difference big time, as well as that third quarter run entirely fueled by Draymond Green and Stephen Curry. This game tonight shows you the Warriors' old guard has still got it. I'll say this again every single podcast. I feel like I'm obligated to say this contractually. And so is everybody else who talks about the Warriors on any sort of platform. As long as you have Stephen Curry, you have a chance to win a championship. And he showed you tonight exactly why. Steph went berserk in that second half, in that third quarter, in the fourth quarter. 33 points from Steph, 7 of 15 from three-point land, and 8 assists. He was diamond Easter eggs into everybody's baskets all day today on Easter. Happy Easter, by the way. Shout out if you observe. But Steph just dropping Easter eggs all over the place. It was so fun to watch this game and to see those two guys play in unison, the way they play off of each other, the way that they can find each other, just know exactly where they're going to be on the court at all times. It's fun to watch, man. It's fun to watch. It's a good brand of basketball. It's a winning brand of basketball when the Warriors play like this. With the win, they moved to 40-34 on the season. And just a reminder, Houston Rockets just got smacked by the Dallas Mavericks tonight. So the Warriors pick up a game on the Houston Rockets in the Western Conference playoff standings. A huge, huge win in all aspects for the Golden State Warriors tonight. If we're going to point out something negative, which I feel like we always got to point out one thing on this show, it's Andrew Wiggins. Just being Andrew Wiggins again, the most inconsistent max contract player in the NBA. You really want to see him step up going down the stretch. He's been playing really well. We've given him his flowers for playing really well. And I'm not going in on him too hard for his game tonight, for his bad game tonight. But he needs to step it up going down the stretch. If the Warriors want to have any chance in this season's playoffs, they need Andrew Wiggins to play like a max salary player. That's about all the time we have for you on this one on the Locked On Warriors postcast. I am your host, Eric TripleE. And it's been a fun one, and it's always fun when the Warriors win. Stick with us as we come to you live on Tuesday after the Dallas Mavericks game, 7 p.m. tip on that one, and then the Warriors with a massive matchup against the Houston Rockets back on the road Thursday, 5 p.m. Big week for the Warriors playoff hopes. We will know where they stand at the end of this week for the most part in the Western Conference standings. So stay tuned. It's going to be fun. You're going to not want to miss this one. I'm Eric TripleE Engel. This is the Locked On Warriors postcast, and we will see you next time. Peace.